Welcome to another episode of Coming Back from Fear, where we're looking at our superpowers. Today, we're going to surf through the emotion of suffering. Everyone has had or will have pain in their life. However, suffering is an option. 3 men were fishing when an angel appeared before them. After they got over the initial shock, the first man asked, "I've suffered from back pain for years. Can you help me?" The angel touched the man's back, and he was instantly relieved. The second man pointed to his thick glasses and begged for a cure for his eyesight. The angel removed the glasses from the man's face and threw them into the lake. The man instantly had 20/20 vision. And then as the angel turned to the third man, he instantly pulled away from the angel and yelled, "Don't touch me! I'm on disability." Well, for some of us, our suffering has become part of us, and we have become dependent on it. Everyone will experience pain at some point in their lives, but suffering is optional. Suffering is a choice. It is not wrong to suffer. We come here to experience all sorts of uncomfortable emotions, and that is one of them. But when we are done feeling that way, know that we do have a choice to stop suffering if we wish. We can smile, laugh, and have a blast, even if we are feeling pain. Sometimes we give our pain a present. We treat it like a stray animal that we picked up, took home, and gave a name. We fed it every day, and it became part of the family. We can take it back out into the wild and set it free. It is just an alarm in our body, communicating with our brain that something is out of balance. That is all. It's just a feeling. Deep breaths. Flow through the pain. Let it go. Release it back into the jungle. When we feel heartbreak, we tend to hold on to that pain and suffering for as long as possible, like we're waiting for some huge payout from a lawsuit. But what we are really collecting is the attention of others. The looks of concern, the hugs, and the interest people have in our story of suffering gives us a momentary high of conditional love. After my first heartbreak, and those that followed, it benefited me to hold on to my story of betrayal and abandonment because it takes a victim to find a hero. It also takes a victim to attract a villain. Uh-oh. And if only they had those thin black mustaches and were dressed in all black, then we could easily tell them apart from the hero who would be all dressed in white. Besides emotional pain, if we hurt ourselves or are in physical pain, we can also attract attention with our limp or with an oversized bandage. "Oh, what happened to you?" People inquire. And then we get to share our story of how we are suffering in our pain. Or we can just provide a simple answer of "bar fight" and move on without making it a dramatic act. There are times where I wake up with one of my feet hurting or my back aching. And in that moment, it's up to me to make a decision on how I'm going to let that pain impact me for the rest of the day. I can take some deep breaths, apply some essential oils after a hot shower, and if necessary, apply hot and cold compresses depending on what's going on with my body. Pharmaceuticals can be administered if the pain is enough to that point where we need to take that action, or even make it an appointment to see a physician, or in extremes, get into emergency room. I also believe in love energy. So I lay my hands on my body and send surges of that energy to remove pain and to aid in the body healing itself. I talk more about that in my upcoming podcast and book, Who Let the Master Out. So there'll be more information coming on that energy work. But a choice lies before us to flood our life with positive love energy or to poison it with negative fear emotions. If we keep ourselves in fight or flight mode, we are only holding our bodies back from healing themselves. It's like our bodies are trying to put together a puzzle and we turn off the light switch, leaving them in the pitch black to feel its way around, to try to put the puzzle together. Sure, eventually it probably could put the puzzle together, but it would move along so much faster if we enabled it with all the assistance we can and turn that light switch back on. So let's give this superhero the light it needs to regenerate, and let's activate our superpowers. The power to laugh. Would you agree that a world full of more smiles would be a place of a lot less suffering? Well, then let's become smile ambassadors. Start first thing when we wake up in the morning. We can make smiling a part of our day, like putting on slippers and our robe before heading out of the bedroom door. Wow. That would surely transform our attitude right away, even if we had to force it in the beginning. Then we just keep that intention to smile as much as we can all day long, whether we are with people or not. You can hear a smile even over the phone. Smile energy is love energy, and it flows out of us into the collective energy field or atmosphere that's around all of us on this planet. You can always tell when someone enters a room who's just full of positive energy. They just change the whole electricity in the room. As well as those that bring in a dark cloud. When they come into a room, you can feel the energy impacting everyone else in the room. But Uncle Smiley Face wants you, so join the smiling army today. The power of thank you. I know we can be drawn to the area on our bodies that we're experiencing pain at, and it becomes very easy to make that our focus. But with a little concentration and concerted effort of our bodies, we can focus on what we are thankful for. When I'm in pain, a great starting point for me is to focus on what is not in pain. Hopefully there's more of that than the other. Then I move on to the body parts I still have that are working well. Like I'll be thankful that I have 2 arms and 2 legs, 2 ears that hear, 2 eyes that see, a beating heart, etc. You get the idea. In spreading gratitude through my body, the cells are being charged with positive love energy. And if I use my power of speech and self-talk to complain and point out my perception of lack of things, that suppresses the supportive healing energies in our body. Deterioration starts as our body takes a step backward. So let's give a heave-ho and give our bodies some backup. Let's choose positive love energy and positive attitudes for our bodies. The power of now. We can resist and try to suppress our pain, whether it be physical or emotional, or we can feel it and allow it to bring us back to this moment. Right here, right now, we can experience the presence of the Mother and Father of all things. Their unconditional love exists in every moment, and we can witness it if we sit still, breathe in, and reach out with our hearts. There are times where I use pain in my foot to slow my stride. Because I'm not rushing to the next thing, I can take time to look around as I slowly walk to my destination. I don't need to limp when I walk slower, so I don't attract the suffering attention in those cases. I get to see the people around me. I see the birds and the clouds, the grass, and even the ants. All these things I would have flown right by, if not trampled on, in order to be somewhere as fast as possible, so I could get done what I needed to get done in order to move on to the next endless task. Sometimes it takes pain to slow our bohiny down. One of the stories of suffering we have been taught is that Mondays are a bummer. Just saying the word Monday can bring a dampened mood into being. But we can feel like we're at the beginning of a long uphill path to the weekend, and that can make us feel like we're trapped. Freedom of the weekend is our hope. But do we have to live that way? Maybe we can forget about what we have been taught about work. Maybe we can look at each moment today, no matter what we're doing, as a gift. The people we interact with and the circumstances we experience throughout today can be a present. We don't have to wait for the weekend. We can smile today. We can laugh right now. We can radiate love in ourselves and out to everyone around us. Mondays can be fun. Life happens in this moment, not in the past and not in the future, not just on the weekends. We can find love, joy, and happiness right here and right now. The power of no. And I'm calling this the gun show. Because one thing that is for sure is that we have our muscles because we have lifted heavy things. The power of no isn't only our ability to say no to all the list of expectations, but it is also the power that comes into our lives by being denied what we think we should have in our lives or what we think should be happening. If we were never faced with challenging situations in our lives, we would not have the strength to take on the next situation. The circumstances and people we encounter are our mirrors. We can flex into them, and that mirror also shows us where we can build more muscle. There will be pain as we tear new muscle tissue in order to build a stronger inner will. It takes ripping away old ways to build new ways. Pain will happen to all of us. It's a part of this life. Complaining is dramatic. We may try to gain attention from others by playing up what we're going through, huffing and puffing and groaning as we lift the weights of life. Then there's dropping the weights on the ground with a loud crash so that we can get validation from other people on how tough a workout we are accomplishing. Or we can just take a selfie in the mirror in that reflection, smiling as we use our power of choice to focus on gratefulness and love. We know we've been through a great adventure already, and we have so much more to explore in the jungle. Hakuna Matata. And insert your best Tarzan yell here. I'll spare you mine. The power to question. Life might seem painful at times. We might feel punished by life until we realize that all the emotional pain we are feeling is really suffering. Emotional and physical pain come from inside us. No one outside of us feels our pain, and we don't feel anyone else's. when we have the epiphany that we are the only one causing our pain, we can choose to lessen or end it. Or we can continue to blame others for our suffering and keep sliding down the slide to more pain and suffering. No choice is a wrong choice. It's all an experience in either case. But the first step is realizing we have the power to change our lives. The next step is to put that power into action. Most of these podcasts have been dedicated to applying our power of choice to many different emotions. And there's only one more podcast left after this one regarding uncomfortable emotions. And that one's going to be focusing on worry. But for this podcast, I'm going to leave you with a Facebook of mine I called Use It to Soar. When difficulties hit us, we can use them to soar higher in the skies above the storms, or we could use them to be a sore loser about life, remaining immersed in the decision to be a victim of our circumstances. Nothing, absolutely nothing has power over us. We have to give permission to all the other things in life in order for them to have power over us. Our power of choice is what produces the world that we see. With a change of intention and choice, we can reconstruct our entire perceived world in an instant. When I'm feeling down, at some point it hits me that I've let fear back into my world and that I'm judging myself unworthy of love based on rules of my past conditioning. And it's in that moment I simply choose to not believe the lie and face the fear head on to get to the root of why I feel that way. It always comes down to some belief that I absorbed when I was younger, fearing not being lovable or acceptable or meeting the standards of the people that were around me. I take a moment and I look at those people and see that they were in a mindset of suffering, living their life in fear, just like I was. Which brings up an interesting point. If these people are freaking out in fear like I was back then why would I consider what they are saying as truth? They are only spouting what they have heard themselves, trying to fit into the conditional love laws of others. So I can detach from those conditions. I can drink in the unconditional love from the mother and father of all things. Being free again, I am light as air. I soar. Come fly with me. As I mentioned, the next episode will be on the emotion of worry. But until then, take a look at your pain. Where has your pain turned into suffering? What are you fearing about this pain? In the midst of your pain, can you force a smile? Can you maybe even laugh a little? See the separation between pain being an alarm that something can be looked at within the physical body. Recognize that suffering is a story the fear ego applies to our pain. Will we listen to the story? Will we believe the story? And will we tell the story to others? Enjoy the journey, and remember, you never have to do anything you don't want to do, and you never have to repeat anything you don't want to either.